You're watching Moments with Jill Walker. Today I'm continuing the series about revival. And I'm talking about the second V in that word, revival. R is for renewal, E is for evangelism, V is for victory, I is for ignite. And today I'm talking about the second V. And I say this stands for being valiant. You might wonder what that means. So here is the word valiant. It means being brave, being courageous. I looked it up, and the definition of valiant is possessing or showing courage or determination. How can a person be valiant? It says in Hebrews chapter 11 about the heroes of faith. It talks about the heroes of faith. And it says in Hebrews 11:34 that they were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, and turned to flight the armies of the aliens. The Bible is filled from Genesis through Revelation with men and women who were valiant, brave, and courageous. I'm thinking of one right now that happens to be a woman, and her name is Esther. I admired her so much that I decided to name one of our daughters after her original Hebrew name, which is Hadassah, Hadassah. Many men and women through the years have been brave and valiant, even in our country of America and around the world. Psalms chapter 60 verse 12 says, "Through God we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies." And I was surprised as I was studying this to prepare this devotion today that the exact same verse is also found in Psalms 108 verse 13. So Psalms chapter 60 verse 12 and Psalms 108 verse 13 say the exact same words. Through God, we, meaning you and I, shall do valiantly, shall be brave and courageous, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. That is a great verse, isn't it? I love that verse. It says in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, that we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers and rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places. Those are who we really fight against. We look at a human and we look at their face and we think we're getting upset at them, but really it's a spirit that is behind them. We're just looking at an outward shell, but it's really a demonic spirit that is causing them to act that way or be that way. It says in Psalms 118, verses 15 and 16, the same phrase, "The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly." I'm thinking of a story that's recorded, I believe, in 2 Kings. It's either in chapter 5 or 6. I don't have the notes. But it's the story of Elisha. And he's fighting against an enemy army. But he doesn't use what we would use in battle. He has a servant with him. And the servant is panicking as he sees the army coming after just Elisha. But he says, "They that be with us are more than they that be with them." And he saw with his spiritual eyes a host, the heavenly host of God's army that was over up on top of the hill, ready to fight for Elisha. You see, God has a heavenly host as well as Satan has a demonic force. But remember, greater is he that is within us than he that is within the world. So we can be valiant. You might say, well, what does that have to do with revival? A lot. Because when you sell out completely to God with all of your heart and you start living in revival with yourself and with God, you want to touch other people's lives. But sad to say, we won't always get the applause living the Christian life. Some of us may have to forsake our old friends, those that don't want to follow Jesus with us. And those that have known Christ for a long time may get persecuted as well, because we're going deeper in the things of God, and we're sensing those spiritual convictions that God is telling us to change and to come up higher. It says in 2 Timothy 3:12, them that are godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. So you see, when you live for God all the way, expect it. Jesus even said in his own words, in this world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, because he says to us, I have overcome the world. And finally, in Joshua chapter 1, verses 7 and also repeated in 9, almost the same words, but not quite. It says, be strong in verse 7 of Joshua 1 and very courageous. It says something similar in Joshua 1:9, be strong and of good courage. So when you see the word revival, think about that second V that I've told you about today, to be valiant, to be brave, and be courageous. Because when you want to live in true revival, you will get persecuted at some time or another. But hold your head up high. You're a soldier in God's army, and you can be strong and courageous, just like it talks about in Joshua chapter 1, verses 7 and verse 9. Keep your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith, and you'll be in good shape. You've been watching Moments with Jill Walker. God bless you today.